So Priya Shankar works with the Environment Program at Bloomberg Philanthropies, where she leads work on air quality globally and more broadly, the portfolio of work in India. She also contributes to work on issues of clean energy, climate finance, and subnational climate action. She previously worked with the Government Innovation Program at Bloomberg Philanthropies, where she led the India Smart Cities program. She has more than 18 years of experience in climate policy research, international and urban affairs, including at LSE Cities at the London School of Economics, Deutsche Bank's Alfred Herrhausen Gesellschaft, and the think tank Policy Network. Thank you very much, Priya. I welcome you to deliver some welcome remarks to our audience. And please, come on stage. Thank you. Please give a round of applause.
Thank you, Dr. Subramaniam. And thank you all for being here. On behalf of Bloomberg Philanthropies, a warm welcome and good morning. At Bloomberg Philanthropies, our goal is to ensure better and longer lives for the greatest number of people. And we support work in 700 cities in 150 countries around the world. And we're delighted to be supporting work here in Bangalore and the state of Karnataka with CSTEP to understand the sources of air pollution and improve air quality. We're also supporting work in cities and states in other parts of India with CSTEP and other partners as part of a technical cooperation program with the Indian Ministry of Environment in support of its National Clean Air Program. We've heard this yesterday and through the discussions. Air pollution is one of the greatest challenges of our times, not just in India, but globally. Nearly all the world's population breathes polluted air. And we've been discussing that it's not only an environmental challenge, but also a public health challenge with detrimental impacts on human health and quality of life. But I'd like to highlight that it's also an economic challenge. According to the World Bank, air pollution costs the global economy over $8 trillion, or over 6% of GDP. And we've also been discussing that this challenge is really complex, especially in developing countries, where the causes of air pollution are so varied. And they range from causes that relate to the need for more sustainable development, such as burning wood for cooking, or waste burning, or crop burning, which we heard about in depth yesterday evening, thanks to the work of CSTEP and its partners and the Punjab Pollution Control Board. But at the same time, it's also a challenge of rapid development and urbanization and industrialization, where we're seeing rising emissions from transport and industry and other sectors as economies develop. And although the kind of challenges are very strong, we're also seeing some signs of early progress being made, whether that's through more stringent fuel standards, or the beginnings of the transition to electric mobility, or through a shift towards cleaner cooking in households. Of course, much more needs to be done, and this needs to be rapidly accelerated. But I do also want to recognize that we have, thanks to the work of everyone here and others, been seeing some early signs of progress. I'd like to share an example from New York City when Mike Bloomberg was mayor. He launched Plan NYC, a plan for a greener and greater New York. A key goal was to improve air quality, and some innovative research methods found that heating from buildings where dirty fuel was being burnt to heat the buildings was a major cause of air pollution in the city. This led the city to launch the NYC Clean Heat Initiative, working together with residents associations, businesses, and real estate associations. And through this and other measures, the city reduced sulfur pollution by nearly 70%, particulate pollution by over 20%, and it led the city to have its cleanest air in over 50 years. But very importantly, connecting to the theme of this year's India Clean Air Summit, the participatory future of air quality management, participation and partnership was key to this progress. The research community was involved in the study that led to the findings that heating was a big cause. Residents and building associations were engaged to make the shift to cleaner fuel, and the private sector was engaged to develop innovative financing mechanisms through public-private partnerships. In fact, not just in New York, but Mexico City, London, Bangkok, places throughout the world where we've seen improvements in air quality, we see 4 key factors that help drive progress. The first is better evidence and data, and it's good to hear from Dr. Subramaniam the focus on sensors over the last few days, because they have a big role to play in terms of generating this evidence and data. And we're pleased to be supporting CSTEP and other partners on developing this body of work. Congratulations on the launch of the emissions inventories, which will be foundational to kind of understanding the levels of and the causes of air pollution in different cities in India. The second is policy leadership. Leadership in introducing innovative policies and driving interagency coordination has been really important. The third is public awareness. In China, for example, rising public awareness about the challenge of air pollution was critical in creating a demand for change and driving progress and measures there. And the fourth, which I talked about before and relates to the theme of this conference, is partnerships, where really partnerships between universities, research institutions, civil society, businesses, and government have helped drive progress, because each of these actors needs to be involved in improving air quality. All of them have a critical role to play. Another example I'd like to share related to participatory air quality management is through some of the work we've supported at Bloomberg Philanthropies is through Breathe London, where we've worked with the Mayor of London and Imperial College to provide small sensors to community groups in neighborhoods across the city. And based on this work, we have started the Breathe Cities initiative in collaboration with Clean Air Fund and C40 cities, supporting work in 11 cities across the world to improve air quality through data and research, stakeholder and community engagement, policy technical assistance, and lesson sharing. And as Dr. Subramaniam mentioned, I'm sure some of you must have already heard from Professor Kofi Amaga about Breathe Accra. This aspect of exchanging experiences and lesson sharing between different cities, between different countries, is something that's so critical, because we all have so much to learn from each other's experiences. We've been pleased to support CSTEP Center for Air Pollution Studies and the India Clean Air Summit since its inception in 2019. It's great to see how this work has grown and strengthened, and the depth and quality of the expertise and engagement from India and internationally at this summit today. Congratulations to CSTEP, CAMS-Net, and all the organizers of the summit, and thanks to all the participants for being here. Thank you for all that you do every day to kind of work on air pollution, to advance improvements in air quality. We have much more work to do together to advance clean air. Thank you.
Thank you, Priya, for that wonderful talk, and emphasizing the need for learning from different across, not just from New York to London to Accra, as well as in India. There's a lot of work that we're doing that we can all learn from each other and collectively work towards clean air for all, which also comes to the theme of the conference, which is the participatory feature of air quality management. So we need participation, not just from academia or government, but also from think tanks, from citizen groups, and of course, philanthropic agencies who are supporting this work. Thank you for that.
Good morning. Thank you so much for that excellent talk. I do know that there was a lot of work that Bloomberg Philanthropies has done around the world in air quality. Can you talk about any shining example that you felt that things went well, and then of course places where you feel that there was a lot to learn, and what are the cautionary tales that we need to have in some of those cases, because sometimes we feel that we typically try to learn from successes, but then sometimes you also have to learn from failure. So what are the interesting examples on either side that we could learn from that?
Thanks, Chair. So an example that I would like to share where I feel there have been some recent successes, and this is work that we've done in collaboration with the Clean Air Fund, who's also here, is work that we've been supporting in Warsaw through the Breathe Warsaw initiative. And as part of that, one of the kind of measures that the city has adopted has been around also related to heating, banning the use of coal for heating in households and encouraging the shift to other forms of heating which produce less air pollution. And this has been supported both by intensive research that helped pinpoint what were the causes, but then also by extensive community engagement and awareness raising. And it's also been possible because of support from the city for these communities to kind of make the shift. And this has really led Warsaw to improve its air quality, be within kind of European standards for the first time, and just over the last few years make a drastic shift. Another example I'd like to share, which is both an example of success but also a cautionary tale at the same time, is from work we've supported in London, where the city introduced the ultra-low emission zone, which basically meant that cars driving in the city had to pay additional charges. And this was introduced first in the center of the city, and then it was expanded to cover the outskirts, and then it was expanded to cover all of the city. And this has had immense improvements in terms of particularly kind of NOx-related air pollution, but also led to some extreme kind of political backlash and protests because of the fact that it was happening at a time where there was a sort of cost of living crisis going on anyway, and the feeling that this would disproportionately burden communities that didn't have that many resources, even though there were support measures being introduced. And I think, ultimately the mayor was re-elected, the policy has been introduced, things have settled down, but I think what this teaches us also is the strong importance of kind of analyzing policies that may have environmental or air quality benefits also from a kind of socio-economic lens, and ensuring that that's kind of targeted and understood very early on, and the people who will be affected are adequately engaged with and receive adequate support. And also that these have to be analyzed very strongly in the context of a particular geography and the particular kind of culture and behaviors there. Even though there are lessons we can learn from each other, we can't just transplant a policy from one place into another.
Great, excellent. Dr. Kalpana has a question? Yeah. Go for it. Short one.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, Priya. My name is Kalpana Balakrishnan, and I represent the WHO Collaborating Center at Sri Ramchandra Institute in Chennai. And perhaps I am asking this question not knowing this. Do you already, or would you consider substantial investments for capacity building in networks of schools of public health in your work? And I know I speak for many US institutions here. Berkeley is represented here, Josh and Maria here, Dan and Faye from Columbia University, that have been transformative in the capacities, especially in the space of air quality, climate and health, through foundation, or rather Fogarty-led initiatives that I understand have also benefited from external sources of support, including foundation support. So even if it means modest investments compared to the research initiatives that you are funding, I think they can be really the deal breaker in terms of success of the initiatives that you undertake in LMICs.
Yeah, thank you. And completely agree that capacity building is very important. And certainly in kind of developing countries, I think building capacity both across research and research communities, but also across sort of policymakers and officials. And so very happy to kind of learn more about your work, but agree that capacity building is an important area. Generally, we have sort of adopted a more of a kind of localized approach to capacity building in that, for example, in India, I know we talked about sort of CSTEP being the sort of institute of repute. We have also supported work that helped incubate the National Knowledge Network and a sort of center of excellence around air quality management with some Indian universities. We're also with colleagues at the Clean Air Fund supporting some work around capacity building in some African universities. So we've generally taken a more localized approach, but very much agree that capacity building is extremely important.
Great, thank you.